So today I'm going to show you how to use Google Tasks as an assignment notebook. So what is Google Tasks? Google Tasks is one of the tools that are part of a Google workspace, such as Gmail, Google Drive, Google Keep, Google Calendar. You have Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, and there's a lot more of them. But one of the tools that is kind of embedded in there is Google Tasks. Um, Google Tasks is a way of keeping track of the things that you do. It's like making a checklist or a list of things, a to-do list. And it's a little different from Google Keep because Google Keep is more of a post-it note app where you can keep bits of information, whereas Google Tasks is made specifically to keep track of specific tasks or things you need to do. So we're going to talk about how to use Google Tasks today as an assignment notebook. Why are we talking about it today? Because the Today app, which many of us have been using all year as our assignment notebook, is actually going away and they're becoming a paid version, and I'm not super happy with it. So we're going to transition our assignment notebooks to Google Tasks. Hopefully it will be a more efficient way of keeping track of when you're going to be working on your assignments that are especially homework or things you need to do. So how do you open Google Tasks? And your teacher has a copy of this, but I'm going to switch to my student user. So Google Tasks is built into most Google services. And full disclosure, the only one it's not built into right now is Google Classroom, although I have put that request out to Google and hopefully it'll be there soon. But if you're in Gmail or Google Drive, or if you're in a Google Calendar, it will automatically show up as a little side panel. If you don't see the side panel in any of your Google services, you just might have to click this little arrow in the bottom right corner of your screen, and that will pop out the side panel for Google. And these are a list of shortcuts to different things like Zoom or Google Meet or Contacts or Google Keep or Calendar. But one of the choices you'll see here is a circle with a check mark in the middle, and that's Google Tasks. And it doesn't matter which side menu you see it on. So there it is again here, Google Tasks, or in Google Drive, it will show up here as Google Tasks. And it brings up this side menu. And the side menu for tasks is extremely easy to use. Basically, you just need to enter tasks on this list that you need to do. And then at the with as much information as you can. Once you have a list of your homework assignments or things that you need to do, it will automatically put it on your Google Calendar. And it has its own color on that Google Calendar based on whatever color you have selected here. And I always put mine somewhere between 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock so that I know that's where they'll appear. And I could see this is all the work I have to do this week if I was a student for my classes, okay? So to bring this up, you would just hit the task, Google Tasks, and on the side menu, you would simply click this blue Add a Task button. So what we're going to ask students to do is you're going to type in 3 bits of information: a title, some details, and the date and time. The title, you're always going to start with the class name. It could be an abbreviation. So I'm going to use, let's say for a world history, I'm going to call it World Hist. And then we're going to say, what's our homework? I'm going to say read pages 256 through 293, or probably not those pages. Okay, so I have to read about 20 pages tonight. Read, listen, and I'm going to say, when does that due? When am I going to work on it? It's not when it's due, because the due date is actually already on my Google Calendar, and that comes over from Google Classroom. So if it's due like tomorrow, I'm going to work on it today. If it's due on Wednesday, then I'm going to work on it on Tuesday. And again, always set a time. So I always pick between 11 and 2 just to make it consistent for myself. So I'm going to put 11:30 tomorrow. I'm going to work on that. And it puts it automatically, you can see it's right here on my calendar. It puts it on my calendar and it puts it on here on the master list. Okay. What's nice about this is you can click the little 3 dots at the top and say sort them by date. And that way it's going to put stuff that's, past the due date up at the top, or stuff that's due soonest at the top, and stuff that's due later in the week or next week will be down at the bottom. Okay. As you finish these assignments, you could click the little checkbox saying, I've done that. So let's say for world history, I completed that. I could check it off, and notice on my Google Calendar, it crosses, like shades it, but it crosses it out and it takes it off my master list here. And it actually puts it in this completed area. And that way you could see all the work that you actually did complete. Okay. You don't want to hit the delete or the little trash can for any of these on the completed, just in case you made a mistake. And maybe at the end of the quarter, you could clean those up. But otherwise, you just keep adding throughout the day. You would just add new tasks. Again, so if I'm in algebra, I'm going to put the class and the name of the assignment. So I'm going to do maybe unit questions 1 through 5. And I'm going to put like page 270 questions 1 through 5. Okay, so I know I have to do that. And if it's in Google Classroom, I'm going to put /homework, so I know it's in the homework section of Google Classroom. What I mean by section, so in Google Classroom, what topic was it under to help me find it? Another thing you could do, for instance, if you're on a specific assignment and you want to make sure you go back to this specific assignment, you could click on this little web address up here and copy that. Control-C is copy. And then when I come back over here to those homework questions, I could actually paste it. And that way, when I come back to this later, I could go straight to that assignment. When I do that and see it opens up in Google Classroom, it takes me straight there so I can mark it as done. Okay. So you're just going to keep adding assignments and then clicking the checkbox when you've completed it. So Google Tasks, you're writing down when you're working on it, not when it's due. The due date from Google Classroom comes in automatically at the top. And as long as your teachers are putting in due dates, it'll appear here above all the times on that date. You could also set up times, for instance, like iExcel. iExcel, you could set up to automatically do every week on Thursdays. Maybe every Thursday you're going to work under iExcel. Or maybe it's going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays. You could set up a recurring task as well. So if I click on, algebra, iExcel, 20 minutes, do 20 minutes per week. And you could set up a date and time. So I'm going to do this like every Monday, and I could say repeat. And I could say every week, I'm going to set a time to do that. And I'm going to do this at 12:30 every Monday. So now, every Monday at 12:30, there's my assignment for iExcel. Oops, wrong one. iExcel. So that I don't have to type that in each week. It automatically puts it in as a reminder for me to work on it. Okay. The most important thing when using Google Tasks is make sure, one, that you're putting when are you working on it, not when it's due. Okay, that's the most important thing. And also consistency. The more you use it, the more you check things off as you complete stuff, the cleaner your Google task list will be, and the more useful it's going to be to use. Um, the more inconsistent you are with using it, the more jumbled up and inaccurate it's going to be. So that's why it's really important to keep up with it all the time. And I would have it open, the sidebar open all the time, and either have Google Calendar or Gmail open or Google Drive open, so that you could constantly be seeing it. But using it regularly will actually help you keep track of your work a little easier, as well as keeping track of the work that you have completed. If you have any other questions about using Google Tasks as an assignment notebook, please let me know.